Hey everybody, Paul here. I'm just making this quick video as an announcement here on the channel. I know many people wrote in a ways back requesting that I return the channel to the format of In Search of Para-Urantian Phenomenon. Unfortunately, as of today, this channel will no longer be associating with anything that has to do with the Urantia book. I'm sorry if that is disappointing to some of you, but please let me briefly explain why that is. Many of you probably know that the Urantia book is quite a thick volume, and much like the Bible, when we read it, we don't necessarily catch everything that's there, or it might slip right by us until we read it again in the future, and then certain verses seem to jump out at us, like this verse in the Urantia book that is now on your screen, that says, slavery was an indispensable link in the chain of human civilization. It was the bridge over which society passed from chaos and indolence to order and civilized activities. It compelled backward and lazy peoples to work and thus provide wealth and leisure for the social advancement of their superiors. I'm just going to pause there and say that there are many verses in the Urantia book that speak of eugenics, that speak of the superiority of certain races over others. It speaks of those who are handicapped, whether physically or mentally, being a lesser class in society that society should have control over and try to weed these weak genetics out of our society, out of our civilization, not necessarily by mass genocide, but if the Urantia book was the world religion, you could see where some people would take that perhaps literally and want to be the next Hitler and putting certain people in gas chambers and just mass murdering them to get rid of the weak among us. So for me, any text or any religion that promotes slavery or saying one race, color, creed, or religion is superior over another, this is just something that I can't get behind. This is not something that I believe in. This is something that is actually offensive to me. This book is supposed to be dictated by celestial beings. It's not even supposed to have a human author. These were basically high celestial beings or angels who dictated these papers, and the words just actually appeared, on the pages. This wasn't something as many people believe it was a channeled work. It was not. If you study it, if you know the history of it, it is said that the words just mysteriously appeared on the page and no one knew who wrote it. So do we really think angels from on high would write a text talking about eugenics, praising slavery, putting down certain races because of the color of their skin? It really disparages the black man, the black race in the Urantia book, that he was perhaps one of the lowest thinkers and people that make the worst decisions out of all of the races on planet Earth. So again, is this something that an angel would say? Is this something that an angel would promote? I think not. In all of my years of being a spiritual person and having some contact, some experience with beings that are outside of this physical realm, just the amount of love and acceptance and goodness and higher thinking that they possess, I cannot see this kind of thing coming out of their mouth. The backward tribes, we'll get to that verse in a moment. But talking here about, these backward and lazy peoples to work and provide wealth and leisure for those who are, more socially, advanced and their superiors. Um, yeah, to me, I just can't stand behind that kind of thinking. And then we also have in this particular verse where it actually says that the backward tribes of ancient times, now these were the backward people, the backward tribes of ancient times, like the native Australians of today, never had slaves. So they were backward because they didn't enslave people. Again, are these words that would really come out of the mouth of an angel or a high celestial being from out in the cosmos somewhere? The Urantia book that was supposed to have been dictated and, written by angels, uh, you know, alluding to the fact that slavery was a good thing, that made us more of a civilized world and gave these, backward and lazy people, a job to do, for their, so their superiors could have, wealth and advancement. Again, that just doesn't make sense. And you would think that if a book like this was written by higher celestial beings or angels, they would at least have the intelligence to say, rather than enslaving people in the past, what they should have done is given them opportunity to work and be a part of a more industrious civilization, a more civilized, society and civilization where maybe it wasn't so hard out there, hunting for food and foraging for food, in the forests and jungles like some of the uh, the natives did in different parts of the world. Give them opportunity, give them equal rights, rather than enslaving them and segregating them. I mean, the whole thing was just it was just mean. It was just immoral. It was done, with the full blessing of religion of the time, because just like the Native Americans and the Africans, well, the white European Christians said, well, they're not even really people. They don't even have a soul. They're like animals. Look at the way they live. So it's okay if we enslave them like the oxen or the goat or the cow and whip them, and abuse them, or even kill them if they don't, provide the service we want them to. We can put them down, because they're not really people. These were good old fashioned, Christians. And frankly, it has always both saddened and offended me that people would relegate such horrible, dehumanizing, monstrous, violent, terrible thoughts to God, and to say, well, he says it's all right. He says this was a good thing. We didn't do anything wrong. Hey, we're the Christians. We're the educated people. So we can really do whatever we want with these, you know, these other races. Look at these savages. I anybody that can see God or think that God would have that kind of thought, or an angel would have that kind of thought, or promote that kind of thing, I think they got a lot to learn about God. And that says nothing of America today, how people of different color are, being treated, rounded up. This is just, a despicable way to think God would want us to be. So, therefore, these things in the Urantia book, I can no longer associate my work, my channel, with anything that promotes slavery or promotes certain people being less than because they're disabled, whether it be physically or mentally. The Urantia book even goes so far as to say that a person who has like a mental illness or a brain injury and their faculties aren't thinking straight, they won't receive the Spirit of God. The Spirit of God can't operate in a mind that doesn't work right. And even me, if I have the Spirit of God and I'm in a car accident and I retain a brain injury where my brain can't work right, well, my thought adjuster, that Spirit of God within me, will just depart and go away. It will just bail. I'm nothing more than, at that point, damaged goods, a broken vehicle. So it's just gone. It might probably reconnect with me later. The Urantia book doesn't say none of these people can get into heaven, but the way it promotes society, treats them, and views them, to me, leaves an awful lot to be desired. So I don't know what I'm going to do as far as channel title, and I hate all this wiffle waffle. I wanted to change back and just leave it as is, as people requested. But this is just something that it's a game changer to me. I can't associate with this kind of thing. I'm very much against this kind of thinking. So I probably babbled on too much here. I wanted this to be much shorter, but I just wanted to kind of speak my mind and make this quick announcement. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next upload.